Totally independent. Fiercely pursuing accountability on policy and implementation. It's time for another DJ Elf 7 candidate interview.
Hey, what's up? Check it out, it's your boy DJ7. As you know, I'm interviewing candidates from across the nation, and I have a candidate today. I'm going to let him introduce himself, though. Go ahead.
This is Frank Hughes Jr. running for governor in the state of Florida 2022. I am MPA, so that question is out of the bucket, and I'm running because I feel like it's time for a change here.
Okay. For those of the people who are not sure what MPA is, what is MPA?
Non-party affiliated.
Okay. And yeah, we're running independent. Yeah. And what gives what made you decide to do that versus a lot of other people might run, in a party?
Well, I've always been MPA. I like to think for myself and kind of, you know, go with how I feel versus a party. The party lines have become so skewed as of recently that I don't know if the people actually understand what their party's main goal is. It seems like it's just a war between the parties themselves. When you pay attention to what's actually going on in the news, it's not even about what's good for the people anymore. It's just a political battle within itself.
Do you have political experience?
Political experience? No, that is this is be my first time running for anything political. I have a background in business. I'm also an educator.
Okay. Well, just so you know, Jamal Bowman was actually in the education field, and he did actually quite well in his campaign. So, having experience with a lot of families over time really, I think, helped his campaign greatly. But, you have a more difficult road being an independent versus in the parties because you don't get access to some machinery, the name recognition, right, other resources. So I respect your choice right there, yeah? Now, if you could tell me, when we take a look at people, people are going to say that they're for a bunch of different positions. We'll find out about that like later on. But for right now, I want to focus on your ability to get things done. So the thing is that, when I ask people what they're most proud of, and some people say, oh, my family, stuff like that, and that's cool and all that, but I'm not asking about that, right? What are you most proud of in relation to something that would be relevant towards showing us your ability to be a good governor, right? Have you accomplished something maybe in business or, you know, um, just some sort of achievement that would show us, right, your ability to perform as a governor?
Um, as of recently, my probably most accomplishment would be unionizing.
Cool.
For whatever reason, in this country, we tend to frown at unions, especially when it's the little people trying to, gain some leverage for themselves. Um, Here in the state of Florida, it was 2 years ago. They kind of made a rule where at least 50% of the teachers had to join the union, or they would dissolve the union across the state. So that was a big effort that I led here in Leon County, the capital county, as far as gaining those signatures and getting people to join in with the unions. So I'm very proud of that because if you ask any, teacher across the country, uh, many are underpaid. The benefits aren't what they would like it to be, and the only way to pretty much get that done is you have to come together as a union. And if you don't have a union to fight on your behalf, you're pretty much left in the wind.
That's pretty cool, man. Hey, I'm glad to, there's a lot of people that are. We see the wealth has traveled up, and a lot of the workers have been left behind. So, the union and experience there, I think, is actually quite relevant for the problems we face today. So, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's Now the thing is that I like to take care of. I have some political allies that I work with, and I want to make sure that they're taken care of first. So I'm going to ask you a series of different political stuff. First of all, you ever hear someone named Julian Assange?
No, the name is not ringing a bell.
Okay. You ever hear of WikiLeaks?
Yes.
Okay. He's a guy from WikiLeaks, and you might have heard of the guy from WikiLeaks like getting arrested and being held up. And there was some emails he released from Hillary and some double taps, right? That's like when the military like shoot a bomb down, then like medical personnel comes in, and then they shoot again, right? And then they kill the workers, right? The health aid, the aid workers, and the rescue efforts.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's Julian Assange. But he's in jail now for releasing state secrets. Would you support freeing him?
Uh, I support anybody who's for the truth, regardless of whether it's ugly or if it's pretty. Um, you know, I believe in transparency across the board.
Yeah.
If something was done wrong, whether it's done by the government or ordinary citizen, if it affects the lives of others, the people should know.
Appreciate that, man. And big shout out to Nolan Farrell and my man Reverend Keith. We're going to the Queen's Supreme Court end of March because those brothers are innocent. But what happens is that, right, if the court admits that, then they might be liable, and they don't want to deal with the hassle, so they gumming it up, some dumb stuff. Yeah, even though there's proof of
Yeah.
their innocence. So March, we end of March, we coming off that, Nolan. Don't worry, we coming for you. Yeah. The
Okay.
next one is going to be UBI. You might have heard of Universal Basic Income. Do you
Yes.
support that? Not support it? Position? What you think?
Uh, it's always a tricky question with that universal based income. Um, I can't say I'm all the way around it because I don't know all the details and how that's going to work, especially over here in our society with it, with the capitalistic mindset. Because I've always understood that people don't like how capitalism works until it works for them.
Yeah.
Uh, because it's the system is flawed, but when you're making the money, then it's like, oh yes, we love capitalism.
Yeah.
But when you're not making the money, you're kind of against it. But I do believe that uh, the wages and pay rate in this country is, I would say, is borderline a sham. Because everywhere we look, if you're like me, I pay attention to stocks and whatnot. So I do like to invest. I hope everybody's investing in something with whatever money they may have. Even if it's just a little bit, you should be investing in something. Uh, these companies are turning profits into the billions, but then they don't want to pay taxes in the same token. And we have hardworking people every day who are just literally just trying to provide the basic needs, and they can't do so because of this big sham we have called inflation. Inflation seems to only benefit the companies and corporations.
Yeah.
But for the hardworking Americans, inflation does nothing but suck every penny out of your paycheck.
Yeah. So I actually, you're hitting on some real key aspects of that, right? Because universally basic income. So what if the inflation goes up? And so I like the way that you're taking this conversation, but and to tell you the truth, just to wrap this particular conversation up, I agree with your answer overall because a lot of people, right, a lot of programs that are meant to help us end up being weaponized against us through bad implementation or they screw it up. So actually, that's a nuanced answer, an intelligent answer, and I appreciate that for real, right? People who just blindly say, "Yeah, UBI," I'm like, what does the person really know? They seem a little naive, right? Yeah. If they're like, UBI is horrible, that also seems right. They're not giving it a fair shot, right? So, right, I really appreciate that answer and the understanding behind that. Yeah, for real. Okay.
Yes.
Now let's move on to the next one. We're going to take a look at the disabled community. That's another community that I work with. By the way, big shout out to downstate New York Adapt. They're doing good work out there. Videos coming out soon. Anyways, so the thing is that people with disabilities, if we look at minimum wage, right, and we
Yes.
look at it's almost like a subsistence wage, right? You're not really living very good off of that, right? It's hard to find even like housing at all at that rate, and then food. What? Now people with disabilities are allowed to be paid sub minimum wage. I was at the hearing and the companies called it choice. Wow. Wow, what a choice, yeah? What a choice. Oh my god, yeah, so would you support at least minimum wage for people with we can make it with federal subsidies if there's a productivity issue or something. But can you support at least minimum wage for people with disabilities?
Yes. Your disability shouldn't dictate a lesser wage. If you're completing the same work, as someone else, you should be paid the same amount regardless of what's going on. Nobody in this world is born choosing to say, I want this disability. I want to be able to uh, not work as hard and not take care of myself. That's uh, a unforeseen circumstance that we have to deal with in our society, and it's sad that people would even create rules to um, you know disingenuously pay someone less because they are considered quote unquote less than the average human being.
So you would support minimum wage for people with disabilities?
Yes. If you're doing fair share of work, you get a fair share of pay. So
Appreciate that.
pay across the board equal.
Appreciate that. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the trans community. Okay. So the
All
thing is
right.
that people who are trans, they may face a lot of discrimination, right? It's hard for them to hold down a job, and I get it, right? It's they're a different lifestyle, right? It's
Yeah.
not saying it's right or right, but just saying like they face discrimination. So they find themselves right out of a job, maybe living on the streets, and they find themselves at the homeless shelter trying to get into public housing. Now the thing is that we
Mhm.
might say, for example, right? This is just I'm making up the numbers here. Let's say
Mhm.
10% of the people applying for public housing are trans. But when we look at the people who are getting it, it's only 2%, and this could be for a variety of reasons, right? Either discrimination, or it could be like, maybe they're getting beat up or something, or just their experiences in the housing itself are negative, they make them want to leave. So how can you, right, take a community like this, right, and make sure that they, right, even though there's no law saying you can discriminate against trans people, right, yeah, how can we make sure that they get fair access to public resources like public housing?
It's funny how you say that there's no law. I mean, we have to build that into our policies, and that starts with our local representation. State representatives. City commissioners and whatnot. We have to build that into our discrimination policies across the board. Just because somebody identifies as one thing, that doesn't mean that they deserve less than.
Yeah, but like, isn't
As we
like,
all know,
so I just gotta take the black line here because I'm just more familiar with it with some of those things. But check this out, right? Yeah, isn't it illegal to
yeah,
discriminate against black people in housing? It is, right? So
yeah,
why is a house owned by a black person worth less than a same house owned by a white person? What is that shit?
it is.
Isn't that
It's a
illegal?
travesty within
But it's
itself.
still there. It's like, what is this? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah, it's
come
still.
on, man. Like, this is weird. This don't make no sense.
The sad part about it in this country is it's innocent to proven guilty for some, and then
I
it's
like
the
that.
other way around for the others. The others is guilty until proven innocent. And that's the sad part of reality we have in this country of trying to prove discrimination that goes on within our
It's
society.
right
We all
there.
know
It's right
yeah, the deep
there. You know.
yeah, it's there, but you got to prove it. It's like
Oh my god.
it's
Okay.
not about what you know; it's what you can prove in a court of law.
Hey, so here's some interesting parts of that question, though, right? Yeah, because we take a look at it, right, and then there's questions about quotas, right? So the thing is that you
Yes.
have 10%, and some people might say, oh, we take the trans people and put them into their own building where they're safer. But then can you imagine taking all the black people in the community and just shoving them into one building? Like, that seems super problematic, you know what I mean? And like isolating them to one community. In fact, that's ghettoization, and then that community gets stripped of all the resources, and all the homeless shelters get put there, and the prisons get put there. I mean, this is just a trap. So,
Yes.
how, quotas maybe yes, no, like that's how we're measuring, right? Like we said, 10% versus 2%. Are we going to try to push it back up 10%? What do we do about this?
Um. The thing about quotas. Quotas came about because they're trying to put a ratio or figure to everything. That's
Yeah,
as my business background. That's how you monetize certain aspects. You put a number behind it so you can know how many resources to allocate towards something. But for a specific society to be putting quotas on certain things they do just because a certain population might make up 10% of whatever's going on doesn't mean that you need to stop right there at your 10%. Just
Yeah.
just say I just use cats and dogs. If you know if cats are 10% of the population, and I have a building, just because I fill up the building with 10%, cats doesn't mean I can't allow the number to jump up to 20% cats. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Uh, so the numbers are just a means of justification and saying, all right, we did our due diligence and we are doing something and we're meeting a certain standard. That's all quotas are. They're just saying that we've met a certain standard. Now what else do you want us to do?
As an Asian American, I deeply appreciate that. We are actually discriminated reverse against in higher education, obviously, right? Yeah, with open
Yes.
discrimination, they cap us, and
Yeah.
even though we've been succeeding in academics for since the '80s, where are we in leadership positions? We're too stupid, ugly, and lazy to do anything. Apparently, to be
Yes.
activists is it's disgusting. Anyways, sorry to beef about that. I'm real tore up about that. Let's move on. Yeah, sorry, it's real
Yeah.
fucking hectic. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So let's so the trans community. So I'm sorry, just the last thing, right? Yeah. So how would you help them to make sure they could access public housing when they feel discriminated against, for even though there's no law saying that they can be, right? And things look like they're being. How would you help?
Um, we would help by first off making sure that those resources are made aware and available. Here in our state, in Florida, we have, um, as you all know, the American Rescue Bill. Billions got sent out to all these states, and many of the funds have yet to be uh, accessed or used by the people because they're not putting it out there. It's almost like if you don't know who to ask or where to get it from, you just don't know, and then you're
Yeah,
left with the short end of the stick, and now you're trying to figure out, where you're going to lay your head at next month.
that's a savvy
So we,
answer. You have any
yeah.
wait. What's your background again, as in terms of like you never did any you did any organizing or not for profit or anything? You had business, right? What kind of business you have?
No, I worked in operations for a while at UPS, and then I do have my own business consulting, vision and plan. We
Okay.
do a lot of small business consulting. My wife is my partner with that. She does training with certain companies as far as DEI, diversity, equity,
Well, the way you're thinking it right now
inclusion.
is very good because I was a grant writer for not-for-profits and stuff like that. And when you bring in more stakeholders, right, when you bring in other funding sources, what that does is it increases your chance of getting grant proposal and is considered to be a contingency plan and to be another layer of protection. So actually, that's the way the poems are set. That type of mentality is actually good and shows yeah,
Yes.
will help you get funding. So that's good. Looking for more resources. I like that answer. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, to try to help attend to the situation. That makes sense. That's a standard operation, actually. Yeah. The rare answer, though. Yeah. When you watch the other, I have a bunch of interviews. Yeah. Yeah, that's a rare answer.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually a correct answer. Cool, man.
Uh,
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask about some other things. A new cause that we're picking up is something called right to repair. You ever hear of? You know what that is?
no, I haven't heard right to repair
Okay.
yet.
So the thing is that now, right? If you look at your cell phone, especially like iPhones and stuff, they made them more difficult to repair. You'll hear about people they dropped it in some water and then they went to the store and they just said you got to buy a new phone, right? But you can take it to a
Yes.
underground repair shop and they'll be like, oh, you know what? Let me just solder on some parts right here. You're good to go. So the thing is that in order to now what the Apple's doing is they're locking it down. So they're making the chip like with the ID inside, so it'll only talk to this thing over here. So you cannot change the part even if you want to. So they can get more money off the business. You ever notice how McDonald's like none of the ice cream machines work?
Yes.
That's because when they made the deal, right? Yeah, they said
Yes.
the only people that can work on this machine is our techs, and they charge them 10 G's each time to fix the machine because they have
Oh.
the arm lock on the thing. Biden recently had an executive order because the military could no longer repair their vehicles because like the car manufacturers like fuck you, you have to take your shit into us, right?
Yeah.
And then they were getting their asses wringed out, and then Biden was like, no, we can't, you get even the federal government was. That's how fucking extreme this shit has gotten. So
Yes.
a right to repair just says that people are allowed to this idea of you don't even own anything anymore, right? Yeah, like video games, right?
Hmm.
Like most of them you're fucking renting and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't own anything anymore. Yeah, your software, right? Yeah, Microsoft
Yes.
Office, Windows, right? You're renting that shit. Fuck, Adobe, if you are making if you YouTuber and you making stuff, I use DaVinci Resolve. It's free. Okay, it's free.
Oh.
Adobe Premiere Pro, I was on that for a long time. Fuck that $20
Yeah.
subscription. You're getting jacked.
Oh man.
Anyway, sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah. So would you support
Yeah.
right to repair?
Yes, I most definitely support right to repair. I still have a Samsung S7. I bought that phone in 2015. I want to say 2015. It might have been 2014, but I would not buy another phone until that one goes completely dead. And like you said, the right to repair. These companies have put a lock on their products. They're the only ones who can fix certain things, and that's not right. People should be able to go wherever someone is available to fix their product. Just like when you have a car, you shouldn't just have to be able to go to the dealership to get your car fixed. You should be able to go to any mechanic you choose to get your car fixed. And that's a big problem that I am seeing across the board as far as a lot of products are concerned. Once a product starts to fail, they were like, well, only our service techs can fix that. And that's pretty much putting a monopoly on certain products. And Apple is Apple, and it's a machine. And if people continue to invest in the machine, um you
Yeah.
know it's like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but you still keep coming back.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, okay. So actually, that series of questions was good. Now that we've covered your positions on some topics that my political allies are working on, now actually it's time to head to the fun part. Honestly, because this candidate right here, a lot of the people I've been talking to are senators. So I would ask them about like the federal budget, right, military spending, stuff like that, which is all still relevant, right? Yeah. But as in terms of right
Yes.
now, one thing that's really cool is that being a governor is an executive position. So I'm from New York, right? Yeah, it's time for us to learn a little bit more about Florida. So the
Yes.
thing is, right? You're running for the governor of Florida. What do you think Florida's biggest problems are?
One of the biggest problems right now is, I would say, the economy. And then we have a lot of little social issues right now. Because people like to think of Florida as one state, and actually it's not. If you if you ever been throughout the whole state, it's a very large state. From end to end, it can take you, I think, close to 14 hours if you start at Pensacola and ride all the way to Key West. I think it's like 14 hours. But Florida is like three different states. You got South Florida, beaches, Miami, fast life. Then you have Central Florida. It's fast, big city, but that's Disney World, Tampa Bay, Daytona. Then you have North Florida. North Florida is a little bit more rural and not as developed as big city life. Um, but the social issues that we are facing, and a lot of them are up for legislation right now. Um, we have the abortion rights bill that's being debated. Women's right to have abortion. I think it's 15 weeks is what they're trying to limit it as. So after 15 weeks, you're not allowed to get an abortion, regardless of whether it came from rape, incest, or you just want to terminate the pregnancy. So I think 15 weeks right now is the ban. Texas has a similar abortion bill that they passed through. Um, so that's a big issue. And then we have the LGBTQ issues going on right now. They call it the Don't Say Gay bill. Um, it's pretty much putting a cap on what can be spoken about in our schools as far as the LGBTQ, and parents have to be alerted if a child does come forward and say they're identifying as LGBTQ. Um, teachers aren't allowed to, uh, I
Seems like a
guess,
lot of
hold
fuss.
discussions on. Yeah,
It
so
seems
it's a
kind of
lot of
extreme.
fuss
It
about
seems
that
kind of
right now.
extreme. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit extreme right now with that going on. Um, but
Yeah.
it's just a lot of social issues going on, and I'm pretty sure y'all are feeling it too. The housing crisis we have going on in this country. But the housing crisis, I feel that's more.
Yo, I've been. Oh my
I won't
God.
call it.
Oh my. I've been looking for someone to talk about this. I for real. Yeah. Yo, actually check this.
Yes,
Okay. If I could, I do want to hear from you. Yeah. So,
yes,
but just so I could let you know, you saw about my email about something called Unified Platform for 22. We have candidates
yes,
from around the country, and there's right now I'm working on something. You know something called RAD under Obama. Something called RAD repair. That's going on.
yeah,
That's big right now. So the thing is that they're ending. So I was an activist during that time, and they said that they were going to make they could no longer afford repairs in public housing, so they were going to get rid of it to private sector, not private
yeah,
industry. So the people living in those apartments should be able to buy those apartments or repair them and
yeah.
get and own them. Now in New York City, right? There's a lady on my channel who said that she bought an apartment for 50,000, and but that
Mhm.
apartment near Manhattan is worth over $1 million. Now the
Oh,
developers are wholesale buying the entire freaking building, right? Florida is also a crazy real estate. Yo, New York, Florida real estate. Oh my God, it's crazy. Yeah.
yeah,
Yo,
yes,
so then what happens that these apartments were going to go up by over like almost about $1 million, right? Yeah, in value. They're sweeping them up in huge chunks, and they're not the
hmm,
people who are living there. It was the program was meant right. The reason why the buildings can go on sale was it was said that they were the ones who were supposed to be the recipients of this money and the big increase in value. But that's not what that's literally not happening right now. I don't know if that's is that, are you working on a similar thing? Because I'm trying to get a national symposium on this. Remember, this is federal. This is HUD.
yeah,
This is the whole nation. Federal public housing projects are getting sold all across the nation.
yeah.
Yeah,
So yes, it's happening, especially down here in South Florida. I don't know how familiar you are with Miami, but Liberty City. I had an aunt who used to stay down that way. There's many, uh, housing developments. They got sold and they are revitalizing them. And those same areas, the rent has gone from, 1,500 to almost 3,000 in the past couple of years. Due to what you say, the private investment, they're buying them by the bulk.
yeah,
These are
and
not, these are not,
making rich off the money that
yes,
was supposed to go to the people that were living there. Yo, this is
yes,
absurd. Yo, I'm trying to honestly, right? The thing is that, right? Unfortunately, they've already made the sale. Right now, we can still fight them by saying that we weren't given proper notice, and
yes,
yo, it's already like we're behind the wheel. But we can organize a national symposium on this issue. Right now, New York. I'm glad that I hooked up with you in Florida. Yo, go into YouTube and type in freaking LA housing activists. You can't find one, right? They're deleting all the stuff. When you look at remember Herbie Lovebug the movie? Remember
yes.
there was that little car rode around this
Libido,
yeah. That setup of the story in the and back in the day, right, was that there was a developer that wanted to buy a little old lady and had to pay a bunch of money and had to get her out. In the new version, they got rid of that story. Any non-commercial storyline has been booted. That's how deep the control is. Yeah, this is
yes,
ridiculous. Yeah, y'all getting robbed the fuck out of it. This is ridiculous. Yo, public housing. Thank God I found one working on that.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
we're gonna get cans from around the nation working on this, and hopefully those cans come out for you.
yes, sir.
Public housing knows so well. I'm in the projects on a regular basis. Public housing projects know how well the lies are of those politicians. They love to go there. You know that shit.
Yes,
Yo, just so
yes.
you know, there's another video of mine where some people from the projects egged some of the politicians. They didn't put that on the news, but that's definitely going on down here. When the politicians come down here, yeah, they get egged and shit.
Oh man. Oh, that's cool.
Sorry, man.
Uh,
Yeah. Sorry to go off.
man.
Yeah. Go. So tell me about what's public housing. I'm so excited to work with you on that, for real.
Yes, sir.
So, so you work on the public housing thing down there? Yeah, they're selling the projects. Of the rent went up, and what else?
So it's basically well, we have a I can't even think of the name right now. I see it in front of me. I see the initials SEIU. I can't even stay on that. But they're a union and they are pretty big in Central Florida, especially in the Tampa Bay area. Tampa Bay is probably one of the top 10 places to live or people are moving to right now within the country. And, I
Yeah.
actually want to move there myself, to be realistic. But just 2 years ago, like I was saying, a house that was once affordable to me is no longer affordable, and people are trying to figure out what is going on. And like you said, when that private money comes in, things tend to change, and they're not changing for the everyday person. Like you say, they're coming in buying by the bulk, and they're influencing the market that way.
Yeah.
It's the whole supply demand thing. If I buy up all the supply, and demand is still high, guess what? The price is going to skyrocket. Um, so that's pretty much what is happening. And it's happening across the country. I saw a video. One of my friends posted just the other day. He's in real estate, and he was showing me this property. It was nothing really special about it, but it was like a little 3-bedroom house in North Carolina. And he said he was doing a showing, and about 40 people showed up talking about cash on hand,
Yeah.
cash offers right there today. And when he was telling me that, he was like, this is happening all across America. People are coming in talking about cash on hand. They're not talking about taking out mortgages, and you think about who is doing this. These are big money investors who are pretty much influencing the market, and that's not that's not good. But we're in a capitalistic society, so nobody says you can't make as much money as you want to. So that's one of the downsides to capitalism. People with money, they do what they do, and those without it are left on the back end.
Yeah, that's sad but true. So, yeah, good to know about your public housing. And that's one. Just so you know, here in New York State, real estate is also the number one corrupting influence in politics down here. So it's interesting that and also I know that the real estate action in New York and Florida is hot and heavy. The real estate brokers literally will get two licenses, one in New York, one in Florida. Dead ass. That's what they do here. Yeah, that's how.
Believe it.
Yeah, it's wild. So,
Yeah.
also, what are your okay? So we take a look at the education system, and we look at the spending on education. We look at the outcomes. We look at student debt. Right? There's a couple of different things going on in education. You work as an educator. What's your ideas on education reform?
My ideas on education reform. I believe that the people who are in education, they're there for a reason. Nobody goes to work, you know, just for just the sheer paycheck. Those educators are there because they believe in what they do, and they show up each and every day, giving their all to help educate young minds. Now, we as a country haven't been supportive of that. We haven't put the money and the resources these educators need to be successful at what they do. Here in the state of Florida, we got rid of pre-K. I say probably 20 some odd years ago, and pre-K is essential. I don't know how familiar you are with the school systems and whatnot, but many and oftentimes school districts are spending resources on the back end, so they're spending money on trying to get students caught up or making sure they don't fall too far behind. In middle and high school, when if you give them that good foundation during pre-K, you can save a lot of that cost in the back end. So it's more of a we got to get past the reactive approach and become proactive in how we are educating our students, and we have to pay our teachers what they're worth in and around this country. But higher education in and of itself, public higher education has gotten out of control. As far as the expense of it, um, especially at these so-called research institutions. As soon as a school is labeled a top 10 research institution, the tuition goes through the roof. And we're trying to like, how are you a publicly state-funded school, but your tuition is 10 times higher than the average community college, um, and that makes it not affordable for many students. And then we get into the next crisis, which is the student loan debt. uh, you know, you go to most places these days, they tell you can't get a job without a bachelor's degree. And then they tell you, everybody has a bachelor's degree now, so now you need to get your master's degree for them to pay you just $2 more than what you had with the bachelor's degree. But who has $20,000 sitting around to go get their master's degree? So you take out another student loan.
Yeah.
Then you graduate to find out, the jobs aren't paying what you believe they should be paying. Like if you're paying $20 an hour, don't be asking me for a master's degree. That's
Okay.
but that's the society we have gone in, and we've gone into debt, the student loan debt, for an empty promise.
Okay.
So everything's just bankrolling on top of each other and compounding, and it creates problem after problem after problem. But like I said, if you got money, you're fine.
I want to ask a question
But
about
for those without,
yeah. Okay, so on the Unified Platform for 22, there is a topic that covers this one, right? It's actually one of the most radical proposed solutions. So I wonder what you think about it, right? So the thing is that when we look at the student loan debt, it's about $1.4 trillion. And then we look at like Harvard Endowment, right? They have like $50 billion just sitting in a bank account, right? Just chilling. When
yes,
we look at one of the largest property owners in New York City, it's NYU. Who bought the Kips Bay Apartments, Cornell Pace, right? These are no longer educational institutions, they're financial institutions. These universities buy sprawling campuses and pay these associate professors minimum wage. It's ridiculous, right?
yes,
I'm thinking that we should just go in and just right, just take that money out. Just take the endowment, right? Yeah. If University of Buffalo is playing in this private market, or if they're buying public property, right, as a financial thing, just fucking take it right from them, pay off the student loan, right? Yeah, take whatever money's there, use a bunch of that to pay off, or subsidize, get rid of the loan and lower that shit. I understand it can't come from nowhere, but these fuckers stole it. The thing is that education, right, everything got cheaper. Music got cheaper. All information is cheaper. Now I could buy a 20 gigabyte hard drive for like peanuts, you know what I mean? Versus like before it was like, so much money. Everything's
yeah,
cheaper. Video games cheaper. All data's cheaper. And let's be real, man. I don't know if you have any kids that like going to college and stuff like that. How did everybody learn science? You sat in the classroom, then you went home and watched YouTube videos to learn how to do this. Why are we paying $20,000 for it? It's the dumbest thing in the world. It's a scam.
yeah. Yes, that's and many of us do feel like
Yeah.
that nowadays. Like college is a big
So,
machine, and
so yes
it's
or
a
no?
scam.
Would you be down to go and raid all that money and take it back and pay off the student loans and say, because that's kind of radical right there, to go in and say, we're gonna go in and yoink all your shit. But fuck it, I feel like that.
Hey, sometimes I feel like that too. Sometimes I feel like, hey, you can have this piece of paper back if I get from under this student loan debt.
Yo, for
Like
real,
it's
it wasn't worth it. I want a refund.
Yeah,
Fuck this shit.
I want a refund.
Fuck this
It's
shit.
not doing nothing. And you made an excellent point. Like institutions like Harvard. When you have a $50 billion endowment,
For what?
Like, what do you?
They're
Like,
sitting
what
on
you
it. They're
charge
just
the
sitting on
tuition?
it.
Yes, that's what people don't understand. Endowment is money they just have sitting in the bank.
Yeah.
They have $50 billion sitting in the bank. Your tuition should be $10 a course credit. Like
Yeah.
you shouldn't be charging
Stop
what
giving
you
them
charge
money.
for.
Stop
Yes,
giving them. They got enough. Stop giving them money. What is this shit?
Yeah, they have plenty of money. They can run their institution without collecting another dime for another 50, 60 years and be just
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why they still charge so much? It's the dumbest shit ever. Anyway,
Yes.
sorry. Yeah. So you'd be down to strip. Either, hey, maybe we gotta adjust that, right? Yeah, but that's being put together. That'll be put together by you guys, not just some guy, right? Hopefully the cans together. We're probably not gonna get an agreement on abortion and gun control, right? So, but
Yes.
on the other stuff, right, with the 1% taking all our money, yeah, I think we can agree on some simple stuff, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, what are you? Let's suppose you get into office. What are some of the first things you're doing right away? Right, you've been running for governor. You had ideas. Now you got the power. What you do?
You know, that's probably the difference between me and most other candidates. I'm not here for the power. I'm here to make sure the people are taken care of, and that starts with just doing simple things like we have uh voters rights is still an issue in this country. That that was something my grandparents dealt with. I'm gonna fix that right away because that's something we shouldn't be dealing with anymore. So I would create automatic voter registration. So most teenagers, or especially down here in the South, most of us have driver's license. When you go to get your driver's license, automatic voter registration. You shouldn't have to go get your driver's license, then go to a whole nother institution and wait in line to register for the vote again. Once you got your state ID, automatically into the voter registration polls.
Florida's known for
Another
shenanigans surrounding that stuff.
Yes, we're famous for
All kinds of
for our
shenanigans.
for our antics down here. Another thing I would like to do is I would like to go ahead and legalize marijuana. Uh, in our state, it
Appreciate
is
that.
here. It's not going anywhere. I feel like many states across the country are starting to slowly, turn the page on that. It's still illegal federally, but I feel like if enough states say, you know what, it's time to do away with this asinine law.
They
Um,
legalize it
you
here.
know,
It's fantastic. It's
hey,
fantastic.
and out of all the things that we can ban, why marijuana? You've never heard, of anything ill happening, when somebody's you know, under the influence of marijuana, but alcohol related deaths happen daily, but we don't ban that. Prohibition lasted for what, a year and a half at that. So, I'm gonna legalize marijuana, and with the legalization of that, I would, communicate all those who have been convicted of any crimes dealing with marijuana uh, in our state. So, that's a big issue. I know a lot of people who have been incarcerated for the simplest having a few grams of marijuana on their person. That's insane to me. The next step after that, I would honestly try to focus on education. I would like to get pre-K going back across the statewide. Like I said, we need to get to a proactive approach versus a reactive approach because what if you read many studies, they'll tell you like, well, the U.S. doesn't have the workforce for advanced technology. I don't believe that's true. We have the the structure in place. We just need to get you know the
We got to
the
resort our
people.
priorities.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
need to make it a priority.
Yeah.
So that'll be a big thing. Another thing I like to do, that's one thing I do commend our Asian community for, is I want a high speed rail across the state. Like I really want a high speed rail. Like imagine going
Okay.
from Miami to Jacksonville in an hour and a half. Like that would be amazing. Because like I said, from Pensacola to Key West is like 14 hours in our state. Imagine the transportation costs that it would save as far as gas and spending time in the car. When if you got a high speed rail, that would help traffic tremendously. Because certain people don't actually live in the same city they might work in. You might work in Orlando, but you might stay all the way in Daytona Beach, which is close to an hour away. If you get on a train back and forth, that's cost savings for you. And that helps with traffic congestion as well.
That's a huge
Um,
project, man. That's a lot of yeah.
yes,
That's
it's a
cool. Yeah.
huge
There's
project,
there are
and
pluses and minuses, right? You might get federal money to help create jobs. You might have some
yes,
environmental issues. But actually, right, that's a bold program, though, right? Yeah,
yes,
and it could work out. Who knows? Yeah. That's cool,
and
man.
and
I
that's
like I like
and
the I like the big thinking. I'm sorry, keep
yeah,
going. Yeah,
you gotta think big. And
yeah,
then another thing we have, I have no idea why we have not expanded Medicare here in our state, and it's pretty much funded by the federal government. It's 90% federal government, 10% state money. But here in the state, we didn't expand it, and that's where I, the party lines are such an issue for me. That's why I'm NPA, because I feel like it was an idea that the Democrats pushed, and us being a Republican control state, they said no just because it came from the Democratic Party. But you think about the elderly population.
yeah,
If you ask any of them, what's their biggest expense? They would say health and medical related expenses. That's their biggest expense once they get past retirement age. So why not expand Medicare? They need,
yeah,
if you go into a hospital or doctor's office, who do you see in there most of the time? You see your elderly people. They need that, that break. They can spend their money elsewhere, stimulating the economy versus paying, $80 per prescription. They got to fill um, every other month. So if we can do that, expand Medicare to create some cost savings for our elderly, hopefully that in turn can create a boost in the economy elsewhere because they now have money to spend elsewhere in within our economy versus just at CVS or Walgreens every
yeah.
other month.
Yeah, I appreciate your sentiments there. Just so you know, I have lots of experience in the health field, so I'd like to talk with you further about developing your ideas on the health thing. But I mean, just because of my direct experience in that, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of other uh, places that need to be cleaned up. It's a complex topic, though. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate your, especially your state has a lot of people relying on Medicare, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
elderly. I think that's a powerful and I think it's the right place, for your state. So continue on. What else besides the healthcare?
Um, Environment is as you know, our state is, our main economy is tourism.
Right.
We had to take care of our environment. In this past year or so, I think we had probably about three big major environmental concerns across the state. We had the red algae bloom in the Tampa Bay area. We also had another algae bloom around St. Johns River. The Everglades is always something going on down that way, and it's basically companies, uh, especially we have sugarcane down here that are just dumping pollution into our waterways, which is a travesty within itself. Um, and we have to protect our environment because people come down here to fish. We eat seafood. Seafood is our thing down here. So like we had the red algae bloom in the Tampa Bay area. Many companies had to close their doors because they serve fresh fish. You can't get the fish in your place of business, then what are you gonna serve?
So what are some of the
Uh,
plans we have to like solve some of these issues?
Solve some of these issues. First, we got to hold companies accountable for dealing with their waste properly.
Hell yeah.
And I think that's a major issue we have across the country all around. And one of the things I would like to help as far as our economy and pollution is California has done it already, but I would like to ban the use of the single-use plastic bags uh, because those oftentimes end up on our beaches, and that's not good for the wildlife out there as well. It can be done, change isn't comfortable right away, but after a couple of years or so, people get used to it and they move on with life and they're good to go. Uh, so we got to reduce our carbon footprint in a way to help our environment thrive.
Okay, when you just single-use plastic bags, does that also include trash bags?
Yes, that'll be the like little takeout bags that most people use. Especially like when you go to the grocery store.
Okay, more like those kinds of bags. Okay, okay,
Yeah,
got it.
those kind of bags.
Okay,
So
that makes sense.
that yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so hey, look, you're pretty cool. I want you to share your website, your social media, and all that other stuff, right? Um, yeah, how can people find out more about your campaign, what's coming up, stuff like that?
You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Excuse that, that's my son. uh,
That's right. He's all
Facebook,
blurred out. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, he's blurred out.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Hughes for Florida. It's HUGHESFORFL. Hughes in Florida. Um, those are social media. It's also the same for my website. So www.hughesforflorida.com. Um, that's where you can find out, about my platform and whatnot. Um, to find out about events and things that I'm more than likely at, Twitter is probably your best bet. I probably post on that the most. I also post like certain programs on Instagram. So my social media is probably the best way to find out what I'm doing in the actual moment.
Okay,
Uh, but those are the two things. My website and social media. You can always go on my website and send a question or a comment, concern, or whatever at any time. I do
appreciate
do
that.
my best to try to make sure I respond to everybody. If I don't get to you right away, give me a day or two. So please be patient with that. But those are my to go to my website and social media: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hughes for Florida.
You got any deadlines coming up, like maybe like ballot petitions or something you need help with?
I don't have any ballot petitions right now. The deadline I do have coming up is my the donation funds. I do need to increase my donations. We're in this. Like you say, everybody's gonna need donations. Um, my campaign has been very frugal in what we're spending our money on as far as the political track. We're not one of those who's going to be running smear campaigns, so you're not going to see any commercial ads of me downplaying another candidate and whatnot. I'm not going to spend money and time on doing any smear campaigns. It's going to be a whole holistic campaign that we're running. um, I will tell you what I'm spending money on is pretty much mostly marketing and traveling expenses.
Sure.
I have a couple events coming up, so
Appreciate that.
uh,
One thing that I'll be super happy to help you with is
yes,
the thing is that we know that you're an independent candidate. We know that you decide to take on the machine, right? The Democrats
yes,
and Republicans. So actually, this unified platform for 22, we have other high-profile races like Diane Sayre going against Schumer. We got
yes.
Jonathan Howe going against AOC, and we're going to put you right next to these people. And hopefully,
All right,
right, by putting together right a plan where you have maybe you guys all agree on certain things, you can present yourselves as a unified package, able to achieve something. Hopefully, something maybe greater than some of the parts, and also new networks and relationships that could benefit Florida, right, in unique ways through, other people that also see the Democrat and Republican control as problematic, and basically that time is over. So, Larry, I mean, Mr. Hughes, you represent the future, you know what I mean? And I'm super
yes,
excited to have you work with us and whatever we can do to help you. We are eager to have a new generation of stopping the bullshit that we've been overcome with, man. Yeah, so tired
yes,
of the
sir,
bullshit, bro. Thank you. You know what I
yes,
mean?
sir,
We need change, man. Thank you.
yes, sir.
Oh, and last thing I want to share with our audience before we go.
No, I just want to thank you all for the support. I want to thank you for doing this interview with me. Any chance to get out there and speak to the people, I welcome it. So, if you ever need me again, or if you need anybody who wants to hear from me,
The
you
housing
have my
project.
information.
If you know housing activists, right? A lot of the housing activists, I try to find them, and it's hard to find them, or they're like obvious, like shills, or there's so much money around, right? There's so much money
Yes,
around the real estate thing that a lot of people paid off, and they're juking it or they're lying. And it's horrible, dude. If you know people really working on it, hit me up. I'm trying to hit up LA, right? And we're gonna have New York, Florida, LA, maybe Illinois. We could have a big national symposium on this issue. Yeah?
Yes.
And you could be there too. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. God bless.
All right. Thank you.
It's a dark day in our nation when high-level authorities will seek to use every method to silence dissent. The truth must be told.
And if you want the truth, you need to check out independent media producers just like myself, DJ L7. You should subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notifications when I release a new video.
Truth of these
We are
words
on all
is
the major
beyond doubt.
platforms. That includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. Unfortunately, we have definitely seen that these mainstream outlets will cave to corporate interests, so we encourage you to join our independently moderated communities of Reddit and Discord. We also encourage you to subscribe to us on BitChute and Dailymotion so you can see the content that YouTube doesn't want us to let you see. Hey, now it's time for the most important part of the video. That's right. It's time for us to tell you about the Taking Action group. Do you need an activist? Or maybe there's no activists around willing to help you with your cause and you need to learn to become an activist. That's exactly why we're here. Every week we get up with people from across the nation, in fact even sometimes internationally, and we develop strategies and a game plan to address the issues that are affecting all of us. Every week myself from New York City and of course my co-host Lisa from Los Angeles provide a coast-to-coast perspective on what's going on in the country. If you want to donate to help out with expenses, travel, equipment, stuff like that, then I definitely appreciate it, and you can hit us off at Venmo or PayPal. Thanks a lot. Hey, by the way, we also have a merch store, so check it out. Oh my goodness, it seems like you've reached the end of the video, so make sure you check out some of our other videos. Make sure you subscribe. This is your last chance to do so thanks a lot. And looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please comment below if you have any questions or issues you'd like me to address. And if you're an activist, the time to make things happen is now.